Good afternoon, everybody. It's John Finnegan. All right, so this last year we commercialized and introduced 4 new products. We thought it'd be a great idea on the beginning of the year just to get a little more overview on those, and maybe anybody who missed them, you get all 4 at once. You're going to get the speed version. Golly, excuse me, because I don't want to hold you guys up too long. But there's some interesting content here. I will move right along. So at the end of it, please get a hold of whoever your local rep is or anybody at Noise Barriers, and we'll be glad to get you more information, discuss your question or your application further. They're all 4 kind of very unique products. So though you'll see the original presentations, some slides I'll move through rather quickly, just in the interest of time. So that we're not on here for 45 minutes or something. I'm going to try to keep it right to the point and get you guys out of here in less than half an hour if you can hang in there that long. So we're going to review the Quiet Swing ALEXIS door. That's kind of the flagship of the entry last year. Brand new product, brand new concept. Very cool, I'll say. A product that we're going to be using to expand that platform very much. The Quiet Pivot, again, a very unique application-specific product, right thing for the right place, for the right purpose. You'll see why. The Quiet Slide, we did so many enhancements to it that we reintroduced it with various drive mechanisms and such, which I'll discuss. And then the Quiet Light, I'm going to briefly go over some of the windows, but really spend more time on the split frame window because that was the key to the launch last year. So here we go. I'm starting with the ALEXIS door. So introducing the next generation of Noise Barriers doors. As I said, it's a platform we hope to expand on. You can see from the look there, extremely low profile, both in frame, hinge appearance, hardware, etc. Flawless visual. I kind of stole the show there. It's the concealed hinge is the reason it looks so flush. And it's that way on both sides, obviously, but the pull side is always the side where you see the hinge, you no longer see it. Ideal for hallways and such. High-end applications, refined applications, aesthetics critical. Throughout this video, I'll just say there's 4 little very cool, very informative rendering videos. The ALEXIS Swing one, Becca will play now, and it runs you through how the door arrives to finished look to features. And then we're going to have one for each of the other products, mostly highlighting the ease of installation or a few specifics on the installation, really give you guys a handle on how the product arrives, how it goes in, what it looks like. So with that, go ahead, we'll start with the first one here for ALEXIS. All right, so hope you enjoyed that. It kind of hits on these, a little bit of everything on this list here, except the performance. We'll talk about that later. but it really shows you what's special about this door. And since we launched this in the spring, we've already made a few enhancements that I'll touch on at various points here. The hinge design is by far the one that jumps out at you. It's the concealed hinge. There's a little section on that. The perimeter seal is very unique, not anything that's standard or anything we've used before, so it was developed. You see a little patent pending check here. That's this seal, and this seal system is a huge part for the patent we're seeking on this door. The bottom seal is different than we've used before. The door leaf, the way it ships fully assembled, truly fully assembled, because it's in the frame. We factory assembled our other doors, but this one is fully assembled. Then we get into some of the options, and then I'll finally wrap up with the performance. The concealed hinge, you see it here. It comes in black and chrome. It's a level swing, so it's not a cam lift, but it does come with some features that allow great flexibility in that 3-axis adjustability. That allows me to move the door up and down, left and right, and what most people can't do is move it in and out to maintain the pressure we want on the seal. If it's adapting to some type of site condition, or over a course of time it's worn a little bit and shaken out and the building settled and you're moving away from that hinge, in the field we could bring that door right back against the hinge with just the adjustability in this hinge. High testing cycles, excellent. Super low coefficient of friction. The door opens with absolutely no effort. It doesn't pierce the perimeter seal, so it's one continuous seal around the both jambs in the head. Clean look from the pull side. That's what we really were shooting for, to kind of really ramp up the aesthetics of a noise control door, to try to bring it into the architectural designer world. And then the high security, where there are no hinges, so the hinge can't be cut or pin can't be knocked out. So it gives great tampering resistance. The seal, which I mentioned, it's a proprietary seal. It's a high density, low durometer composite seal. Meaning that there's some rubber components to it, there's some hollow spaces, and then we have absorptive foam materials embedded within that, in some of the chambers of the seal. So it's a rather simple looking but rather sophisticated seal to get us the performance where we're starting here with this door. It's non-magnetic, so there's no opening force. I spoke about how the hinge has a low coefficient of friction, easy to open. The door, when you disengage the lax, it's actually somewhat compressive. So when you disengage the lax, the door pops open a little bit and swings easily. So very ADA friendly on all fronts. The bottom seal, it has articulation in the X and Y axis, so I can move the door, the seal, to where I want full engagement and compression. Then I can also rotate it on its axis, if that makes sense to you. So I maintain a maximum 1.75" bottom seal on the threshold, even if that takes just a little 30-second of a rotation, either away from the door or into the opening. I can do that and then reset the seal. It's self-adjusting. It slides up onto this threshold. There's oh so slight a taper on this threshold. The naked eye wouldn't even be able to detect it. But the composition of this bottom seal, mated with that threshold, makes for a fantastic, repeatable, nice tight seal. And it too is a low durometer polymer seal, excuse me. So if there is, for some reason, any kind of a small deviation on that threshold, or for some reason a slight slope or depression, it learns that deviation, very friendly to that. The door leaf itself, very unique. It's 1 3/4", which I touch on a bullet point, which changes our whole world. As many of you know, this is a 2.5, 3-inch, 3.5, and 5-inch thick door. We've always been modifying hardware to get it to fit. This 1 3/4" slab allows us to get back into very standard, user-friendly 1 3/4" hardware. The door leaf itself is a polymer-based core, and constrained damping means that the two skins and the internals of that constrain the polymer that I'll say, pour into the door. So it's a filled door system that is very unique to us. But with that, it allows us to use somewhat less steel, lighter steel, I'll say, and the action of the low durometer core allows the door to be lighter than our other doors at this same STC rating, which is 51, which I'll show you later. And yeah, that's it. Ships just like that. You saw it in the video. We factory assemble it, fit up, adjust all the hinges so you have the perfect reveal, the seal contact we want, and it shows up like that with the threshold on it. You open the crate. We try to, 15 years of installing doors, we just try to make them easier and easier to install, to take that wild card out of the acoustic performance. And this door really kind of takes a big jump in that you don't even take the door off the frame. You don't put the threshold in separately. It all goes in as one piece. As you saw in the video, it comes out of a crate that looks just like that. And that's just highlighting, the ease of the installation. It goes in from one side. Then we use that keyway in the threshold. I think you saw it. You see it in the lower left-hand corner to really lock that threshold into the H style that we've always used. Excuse me. Single leaf at this point, so it's easy to do this. We are, a side note, developing a double leaf. That's where we'll have to make a change from this model, obviously, but we're going to maintain as much of that minimal field installation as possible. So out of player, out of square openings aren't the issue that they used to be, as long as you just hold that door plumb and square. 30 minutes, we've installed several in the field now. We're doing a soft rollout on it. So as it gradually builds more momentum, we really do see a 30-minute door installation per door holding true. Concealed closer. We could conceal hardware in this door that we never were able to do before in our double magnetic seal cam lift. The concealed closer actually is one of the hinges, and then the hydraulic body goes inside the door that you see there. So the whole function and the piston action happens inside the door, and you see no closer, not even an overhead closer. It takes place in the hinge body. We've installed several of these in the field, and the look is just, as you can imagine, second to none. And then you get the performance of the closer. It does limit the max opening to 125 degrees, where the regular concealed hinge will open all the way to the wall. So that's one of the things that you run into regularly with a closer, but it is one of the restraints here. But that's still well past 90 for the function you're getting. And again, the aesthetics. Factory glazed, much like our other doors, we don't let anything happen in the field. We do a full vision, narrow, or a half light. Double glazed, absorptive interstice very quickly. And then we launched this door to 51. We're hoping to take this particular platform a little bit lower to make a very competitive yet aesthetic 40-45 type door. And then we're also going to take this door system up into the mid 50s. The double leaf I mentioned is well on its way to being launched later this year. And there is no built out astragal. It's an integrated astragal between the two door leaves. So we maintain this whole flush. Flush and concealed is kind of the whole motive of this door, and we're not trying to vary. Right now, we don't have a fire rating on the single leaf door. All right, the pivot door. Super cool product, but application dependent. You don't put these everywhere, but you can see from the picture there what the concept is. It's a room divider with large panels that are stationary. All right, now we didn't have the sound, but it was really just music anyway. So you get the idea of what that functionality is and what it fits for. Visually, it's beautiful. It does give you use operation, and by use I mean how you divide the space. You can open one of these panels. So you can see in the picture to the right, there's 4 panels that divide this lounge area from the performing area. You can open just that one and have everybody feed through that one side. You don't have to retract the whole track wall or take one piece. These do not go in a closet, so that you don't have to worry about closet space. You could have curtain wall application on each side like you see in this picture, and you don't have to worry about storing anything. and you can open any one of them at any time to any degree. You can put them at 45-degree angle. You'll see some different opening combinations, but it's the flexibility to divide two spaces or a reception area is what we see a lot for like a waiting area or a gathering area, and then on into the performing center. There's an example of 4 of them, like at a 45-degree angle. You can see there's steps and stuff. That's a gathering area, and the performing arts, the theater is where we are in this picture. But I'll run through the design concept of the stationary doors. I touched on no closets, panel frame installation hardware, some options on finishing, and the performance. Proven design, it's a pivot. It's a level swing pivoting. It's not a cam lift. There's a pivot block top and bottom. There's a double magnetic perimeter seal. It's based on our quiet swing double magnetic seal system. The door panel itself looks like a giant one of our single leaves, and you can see that in the little detail there about the interface. Again, this is a highly cycle tested product. Very low coefficient of friction. Frankly, almost too little. They open almost effortlessly. Split frame system for each of the jambs in the header for wrapping the wall or whatever the condition is we've desired for the rough opening that sets your frame width to width. And again, the double magnetic seal system all the way over to the jamb. Clean look both sides. There's no hinges showing. There's only the hardware. If you were to put pull handles, you don't need to. And then options, as I touched on, one, all, each end, keep the center closed and have traffic flowing like outside the wheel, so to speak. So you have options on exactly how you want to use it and how you want to open it. Basic drawing there of closed and then or in the 90-degree position, jam on each side. This is a plan view, elevation rather, and a section plan view up above it. We've done up to 8 independent door panels. Could go further, but that can span as far as we've ever needed to go. So it can be up to 8. We say individual door widths 3 to 6 feet. Typical runs around 5. Individual door height 6 to 12. Again, in this application, we've seen typical is about 10. Open position to 90 degrees and any angle in between you'd want. This is just using the one panel, as I said, along the window so that you could feed traffic through that. This particular one has some very heavy millwork. I think I touch on it later, but these doors, because of the center pivot, are very acceptable of heavy millworks and heavy metallic finishes. You don't have to worry about weight on hinges, moments generated from having that too much weight out on a door leaf that's like a swinging door. Very quickly, section drawings of how the track would embed in a concrete floor, how it attaches to structural. We handle all that drawing interface with an engineer. Early on in the design, we want to make sure that you have a heavy enough structural beam up there, and then through the submittals, we're very involved with where and what our blocks will need to go and how to prep for them. Rotation on the y-axis, self-adjusting, maintain constant pressure. Yep, all right. I think that says enough about that. No closets is, the key. You can see they stay in place. So if your closet space is not available and you need to kind of stay in the space, this is what works perfectly. And you don't have to worry about jacking any panels up or down and pushing them over into a closet. Swing it open and it's good to go. I touched on the slab sizes. They are 5-inch thick panels, damp steel construction along the lines of the doors you guys are probably familiar with are 2.5, 3.5. This particular one's 5, just for the structural requirements needed and to conceal the block that we use for the pivot system. Split frame I touched on, and the double magnetic seal. It's a picture of the jam situation where you can see our typical frame. Ships full panels. Nobody's assembling a panels. Nobody's putting seals on. Seals, as I said, seals factory installed on each of the door panels. They're installed on the frames. To set in sections as large as possible for getting into the building and handling and freight. Thresholds is desired. We work around it if it can't go in there, but we desire a threshold. Hardware, any kind of fixed pull handle. You can see the long fixed pulls on these. You don't need handles. You can put a little push plate. They would open that easily. You set them in place with sliding set bolts that keep them in place from pivoting open or opening unnecessarily if you don't want somebody to push them open. And 90 degrees is the max opening. Touched on it, wood veneer, millwork, wood veneer and millwork, big and heavy could be fine. And then also just powder coated. You saw in the rendering, we do several just powder coated, and the ones you just saw above were powder coated. A lot of flexibility in how you want it to look. Each one could be different if you want. And it's an STC 45 system, non-fire rated. Quiet slide doors, big, heavy, large, oversized, 10 by 10, 20 by 20, power operated, automatic sliding doors. Alrighty, that rendering video kind of steals the show. It really shows everything about it, but I'll run through the design options. You saw the ease of installation. Much like all of our products, we try to take as much field assembly and bolting together and adjustments out as possible. And I'll touch on many of those things really quickly through here. Horizontal, typically motorized is what we're talking about here. Manually operated, just FYI, the doors are heavy. They slide on very refined linear track and bearing systems, meaning there's very little friction, but they are so heavy. They are hard to open, even with that low friction operating system. We almost insist on motor operated over 8x8. If you had a 6x6, a 6x8, you could get away with it. People have tried to, manually operate 10x10s or, 10x, you can't, it's too hard. So that's just a tip. Typically single slab, slide left or slide right, depending on the wall space allotted in the design. Biparting, very common. And we can even do with our belt drive system in the linear track. It's very easy for us to do unequal biparting. You could be up against a wall like you see in the far end of this picture, for example, where you only have 4 feet, but you have 8 feet to the right, but you want a 12-foot door. So you couldn't slide either one either way. See, we can put a 4-foot slab off to the left and run an 8-footer over to the right. Vertical lift, I'm not going to do much time on that. Also motor operated, single slab and telescoping, mostly focusing on the horizontal sliding here. The rendering video we just saw, it's excellent. Here's an actual picture of the rendering video is based off of that track being mounted. You can see that the shrouds are up around the framing where the seal systems would go. And then that track you see up there arrives from the factory like that. The motor is on there, the drive system is on there, the track is on there, the trolley mounts are on there. Nothing is left to chance because we mount this in the factory, assemble the door, and we run the door. So there's no reason there should be a hang up in the field. We eliminate, field stuff is expensive, fit up is critical, and speed is critical. So we've always done, and we continue to do all our products with as much factory assembly as possible. So when that top rail goes up, gets mounted, you'll see in the next couple pictures, you're off to the races, and you saw in the video, just installing the frame and then trimming things out. They come large panel sections like that. There's actually several doors on this, so that's why you see some larger crates. They nest together, bolt together, and then there's closure plates. They can be demounted as well. I don't know if you'd ever want to do that. That's a still picture of the forklift bringing it in. You can do 2 jacks, various things, but I touched on the fact that it leaves the factory like that, fully drive ready. This happens to be an exterior application. Then you simply mount the tracks 1, 2, 3. I think the panels up, lower, lower, lower in the middle, and then the whole bottom seal component goes on last. We tried shipping 10 by 20 door leaves. It didn't work out too well. Here's an example of a biparter, big one. You can see the size of the guy in the opening there. I dare say it was 30 foot. I think it was 28 or 30 feet. Quiet operation, extremely quiet. No, you don't hear any tracks and trolley, no Richard Wilcox, no rollers. It's all done on linear track and linear bearings with a neoprene belt drive. Adjustability then, once it's installed, gives us great sealing. Nope, that's just one more thing on the belt drive. You can see it's all on there, even the belt. Nobody's field fishing the belt onto the sprocket and the drives. It's already been done and tested. Programming within the control boxes. We're very specific, and I don't touch on this here. Our drawings are extremely clear through the submittal stage, the installation stage, and the shipment stage as to who's responsible for what, where our electrical responsibilities end and where the building electrician needs to join, where our structurals stop and where the building has to be. So we've made this as bulletproof, so to speak, as possible with that set of drawings for delineation of responsibility. Could not be any more clear. Yeah, adjustable bottom seal. You can get at it, take it off, replace it, and then remount it back in. You don't have to take the door off. And it's a vertical lift door. I'll just kind of blow through that. That's a monster also, 3-section. There you go. This is, we do all the controls, in-house. We do everything in-house for this door. And we do all the controls. The key component of this is we don't want anybody going inside this control box. Every electrician on a job site thinks he can go in and, he knows what he's doing with relays. So between the drawings and the fact we lock this and only give the key to the owner and tell them never go in it unless you call us first, it eliminated so many problems. So it's a UL certified electrical box, and we dummy it down to just connections of power on the outside with a little jump box. We don't want anybody ever going in here that's not one of our installers or our technicians to, again, eliminate a problem in the field. Here's your typical control panel on the, once we close that box, seal it, and lock it, those are your 4 typical operations. Open it, close it, stop it, once it's on its way, and then the e-stop. We could do, anything somebody wants, particular, but this covers 95% of what anybody wants. You get full wiring diagrams. It's all done through the submittal process. This door isn't fire rated yet, but what we do and have great success at it is use a fire shutter. We mount the door on one side and mount the fire shutter on the other side. This door, everything is on the theater side. Those are, as you look through the door, those are the undersides of bleachers, seating for in the round theater. The drive system and everything is on the back. This one has a disengage because they have a lot of power problems here, so that's why you see those pull handles. They may have the occasion more often than anybody else where they'd have to pull those open. You could do it with ups, but they wanted to go one step beyond that and make sure they could pull it open if they had to. And on this side, you see that brown shroud is a fire shutter. Drops down over that whole opening. Really inexpensive way to do that. Yes, you need wall space on the other side of the door, but it's an extremely effective way to fire rate the door system. That's how we do it. We either supply the fire shutter or work with a contractor and tell them the size and everything of the fire shutter we need, coordinated into the operator. STC 51. We do make sliders higher STC. We don't test slide. You can see what's involved with installing a slider. It's very difficult to go to a lab and install a full-size sliding door over and over again because you're screwing into all their walls. It's not a super easy thing to do. The 51 is proven. We have gone as high as a 55 based on theoretical. The slab can get to 7-8 inches thick. And the seal system varies, and then we will stand behind a field report. We just would not have an STC report, but so we do stand behind field performance of those. And then it's much easier to go down. So if it's a 45 or a 40 requirement, we can get there as well. It's in essence the same door, to be honest, but we do lighten things up just a hair for cost. That's a miscellaneous personnel doors we can put inside the slab so that if you don't have to open the door all the time. We do pneumatics. Once we're getting into high STCs, we do pneumatics. They're much more complicated and expensive, so that's not in our basic STC 51 door. We do storage pockets so that if you don't want to see the door open or you don't want anybody fiddling with it when it's in the open position, it can slide into because we make modular panel systems, we can make the pocket conceal that door. Various thicknesses I talked about, powder coating, absolutely. We do put windows in them on occasion. The picture to the right there is actually an interesting 2-slab vertical lift door that operated from a recess in the floor and vertically lift. It closed in the up position, so it's kind of unique. 35 feet wide, 2 slabs. We make an HM window, which is a fixed window. Great for a million applications, but you have to trim it out. You get a rough opening, slide the window into it, mount it, and then trim it. Whether wood or I've seen a variety of different ways. The split frame window comes in from both sides of the rough opening. The window frame itself wraps the rough opening, so it's done trim-wise when you install it. It does have a little eyebrow, which is kind of cool and perfect for some applications, but there's no trim required. It's also much better for high performance walls that are designed to be isolated. You're putting a window system in there that is truly isolated. You're installing 2 sides of a window. That perf interstice you see there in essence floats. So we maintain the integrity of high ITC walls. Real quick, some of the offerings on Windows, and then I'm going to touch on the split frame mostly. We make a lot of windows. We've tested a lot. You could never test enough. So, if somebody wants an STC 60, they're going to get an STC 62. If they want a 52, they're going to get a 53 in various combinations. We could test windows every day. We make a lot of windows, and our windows perform fantastically. Variety of different styles. I won't even get into the U-frame. The HM is kind of the fixed bread and butter, factory installed, factory assembled, goes in as a module, super fast field installation. But as I said, you have that little trim detail to worry about, but you have proven performance out of the box. And then the split frame, it does come, as you saw in the video, it's more of a kit. So it does require a little bit of field installation, more so than the other model, but it does give you that isolation if that's what's absolutely critical. And you don't want to be trimming afterward. Steel frame, all of our windows are steel frame. We do have some aluminum, but that's a whole different story. Powder coated most colors. We typically prime paint them, can be painted black. The liner is always black, but that also can be painted. We dabble with once in a while doing fabric inside, fiberglass wrap panels. Deadskin always included, glass, variety of different glazings, variety of different slopes, and then paint to finish if required. Otherwise, it's just prime. I think I touched on steel. The STC ratings, 43 all the way up to a 64. 4 designs. Mostly this was for the split frame. All of ours are lab tested, obviously. We do offer ballistic ratings. We do offer privacy options, which are, some of you may be familiar with, switch-like glass. We're seeing a fair amount of that requirement, especially in the security industries. So one of the pieces of glass are charged with low voltage power, and they actually turn white. You can't see through them, and then flip of a switch, they become clear again. We can incorporate that style glass, which most of you probably are familiar with, in these windows. Hollow metal, you can see here, it slides into the opening. You could tell the frame and the glass stop is flush with the outside of the drywall or whatever that wall happens to be. And it does require that block trimming. You see there is a dotted line. So I touched on that, and that's the story with that. You do need to trim that out, otherwise you've got a caulk gap. Split frame, you don't need that. It wraps around that drywall, wraps right around the rough opening. All of our drawings clearly depict how to frame the rough opening. Everybody agrees on the wall thickness, rough opening size, width, what kind of blocking we want on all four sides, and then how to install it. That's just 4 cut sections of, it wrapping the wall. Sloped glass, absolutely. Do it all the time, not a problem. Single side, both sides. That talks about how you can butt windows together, 2 different mullion types. Either a mullion built into the window or, module by module. Yep, go ahead. I was just talking while you flipped. Thanks. That's a big split frame. I will say the split frame does let you do these large control windows because you're just bringing in the piece of glass. If we were to do that window as a hollow metal, you'd need about 7 guys, 2 pallets, roll it in, and it would weigh, 1,000 pounds. At that size, you're bringing all the componentry, mounting the frame, installing it, then you're just installing 2 pieces of glass. Totally different story. And you can see that's a pretty cool look. Trims itself out to the wall, nothing extra needed, looks great. That's a really deep shooting range window. It's probably an 18-inch thick. That's an HM window that slid into a masonry. So in that case, the masonry rough opening was just barely oversized, slid in, and then they did just caulk joint that. Sloped, double sloped windows, typical studio. We do get into some other windows. It's just a pretty job we did here with butt glazing. That's going to be a whole nother webinar. We're seeing more and more desire for it. We're doing it more and more. And this is floor to ceiling butt glazing in our frame system, mostly in the back there, and the header on the one in the front. We're getting very diverse in windows. Look for more from us on that. Full height windows, butted, control room windows. Those are some windows at an breakout office at the UN. Interpreter booths all the way around the perimeter there, and their delegates would be sitting in front of them, but they're also divided, all in the mid STC 50, so they can't hear each other or be disturbed by each other. And then there's a studio, I believe that's Georgia Public Radio down at the bottom. And just some typical more windows. I think we're just going to wrap it up here with a couple pictures. Anything you want that you saw there, picture-wise, video-wise, details, more discussions, give us a call. Your rep, me, anyone at Noise Bearers. Be glad to help you out. I really appreciate you guys coming, and hope you enjoyed the overview. That was last year, and that much again coming this year. So thanks for catching up. Have a great evening. Talk to you. Bye.